Hey everyone, today we are out on the logging roads. These are some very steep logging roads, but thankfully they're not slippery. What makes the logging roads slippery is when we have a defrost in the forecast. Everything starts melting and then it immediately freezes up into ice. Right now this is just snow, so I'm able to get pretty good traction on it. I'm not using winter tires. I'm just using my mud tires, and everyone told me that was a mistake, but it's not. They did not get really hard like everyone was saying because they're made for warmer weather. It did not happen. In fact, they're actually giving me amazing traction, especially on the roads that aren't plowed. It's working a lot better than my winter tires, actually, just because they're more aggressive. And when you're on snow like this, studded tires don't do anything. That's only good for ice. But it's going really well. These are some pretty steep hills and getting actually amazing traction. Temperature outside right now is -4 or about -19 Celsius. Pretty chilly day. I love days like this. We don't get them often. I love when it stays below zero outside like this. Really, really cold out for the high temperature. Then tonight it's going to get extremely cold again. But the snow is really beautiful. I wish we'd get a lot of snow though. This is weird. Usually northern Maine in January would have a lot of snowpack. Like so much snow that you can dig down into it and there's like different layers because it's so much snow. It's compacting the bottom into an ice. But it's weird. There's only about 8 inches on the ground up here. Very strange. Just a couple years back I made a camping video. I had to dig down 3 feet until I could get a solid surface for a tent. Not too much right now, but it is very cold for the next week or so. So I'm actually out on the logging roads trying to find a spot to do a very secluded wilderness camping site, but I'm not exactly sure where I want to go yet. It's really beautiful out here. I did visit a really big culvert pipe today. That would be a cool camping spot if I was able to assess it a little bit easier. So I was driving down the road. I noticed that one side of the road was a very far drop down to a stream, and the other side wasn't very far down. So that meant there was something blocking the pipe. When I went down there, I expected to find maybe a 4-foot pipe. I found a 12-foot diameter culvert pipe, one of the biggest ones I've ever seen. More than 3/4 blocked with a beaver dam. That was probably 8 feet tall inside of it. Maybe a little taller. Huge. I walked on the frozen pond up to it, walked down inside of it to show everyone. That's going to be a short video I upload on my main channel. But guess what? The minute I shut the camera off, I fell through the ice. I only went down to my knee though. Not a big deal. Just got back in the truck. Give it for like 5 minutes. My body heats up the water in my boot and it basically turns it into a wetsuit. I don't panic about that stuff anymore. I've fallen through water, shallow water like that multiple times. Probably close to 50 times since I've been going in culverts. And your body just heats it up. Turns into a wetsuit. Not a big deal. As long as I have the truck near me, I'll take more of a risk. So, some roads are plowed, some aren't. Doesn't really matter. There's not much snow on the ground, so I can basically drive wherever I want. There's some spots out here, especially with the sun glare. It's very hard to tell where the edge of the road is because we're so far out, they're not sanding the roads or anything. The road's not dirty, and some areas when the plow pushes it over, it fills in the drainage ditch, so everything looks flat. You can't really tell in certain cases how far you can even pull off. I made that mistake last winter, pulled off, but the drainage ditch was underneath the snow that looked flat. But amazingly, I was able to get myself out without the winch. I just laid my tire chains down in front of the wheels and let them grip onto that, and that actually got me out. I think I'm gonna do like a multiple day wilderness trip next week in the truck, just to see what we can go out and find. With these cold temperatures, sometimes there's some really interesting rivers that freeze up, waterfalls that freeze up. I want to photograph frost heaving. A couple frost heaves up here coming up, since I'm being forced back down the same road. The throughway is blocked off, gated this time of year, so way back. The roads are in surprisingly good condition. So if we get a freeze and thaw, or I should say a thaw and a freeze, it ices the roads up really fast. And the tractor trailers that use these roads will not put on tire chains unless they're very stuck, because that's inefficient. If they have tire chains on, it means they can't go more than 30 miles an hour, 50 kilometers an hour, because it becomes a hazard. You can't drive fast with chains. So what the logging company does instead is they'll have a truck drive down here and they'll dump gravel on top of the ice. Then they can drive much faster. They don't really ever use chains out here. It's rare when you see a logging truck with chains. Just like right now, how I'm getting good traction. The trucks are also getting very good traction because they have off-road tires. It's not like the regular big rigs you see on the roads. These ones have very aggressive tires. Here's one of the culverts that we unclogged back in the fall. Look at the pile of debris there. Looks like the logging company's had to get that a few times since we've done it. Gotta be very careful pulling off. This is one of those situations you can't tell where the drainage ditch is because they plowed it full. feels a little different. Let's do a brake check. Nothing. It's perfect. Maybe it's because it's more shady here. The snow is squeaking a little differently. These temperatures, the snow makes a really cool noise. I'm using 4-wheel drive. With 2-wheel drive, this road is not the best, especially on the hills. I try to fishtail without the 4-wheel drive. This is that gigantic culvert pipe that they got blocked. Yeah, maybe I'll bring everyone down and see it. It's gonna be a short video on my other channel. Maybe I'll make a longer video. Here's where I parked earlier, so I know there's no drainage ditch here. It's off to the side a little, I can actually see it, so I'm just gonna shut the truck off right now. It's actually reading -10 outside right now. A little damp, because about an hour ago I fell through this body of water, just down to my knee or so. But now it's acting like a wetsuit, it won't bother me. Hear that beautiful squeaking of the snow? I love that. The colder it is, the more it'll squeak like nails on a chalkboard. That's what tires sound like driving through it. So over here, this is an area that's been an issue for a while with the beavers. They've been relocated now for multiple years, so we didn't even check this one recently, but I noticed the water here seems a bit high. I wouldn't even have noticed it was high if I wasn't comparing it to the downstream side, because this doesn't even look that high. I've seen this crossing the road before, but you see all the little trees. They have a lot of building material. There's my tracks from where I went down, and over here, look at that. Look how much further down this side of the river is, and that's what tells us we have the blockage. So I'm gonna go down here again like I did earlier when I was making a short video of this. Keep going down. We're now definitely onto the ice. Now over here, if I fell through, I'd go down to my neck. But right here, I'm not worried about that. I'm not gonna get close to the dam though, because you see right there where there isn't any snow? That's because rapids were going up and down through there. That froze recently and it just snowed a day ago, so not taking that chance. So this looks like a 12-foot diameter pipe. It's massive. When I get down there and stand in there, this dam is towering over my head, so it's probably an 8-foot dam. And what do we got over here? What are these tracks? Is that a moose? If that's a moose, this ice must be super thick, because see how far apart they are? It was running, but I'm not thinking that was a moose. Thinking that was a leaping rabbit. That's what I'm thinking that was. But the back feet of a rabbit leave those 2 marks like a moose, so sometimes it's possible to get that a little confused. And when I rubbed my foot there, if it was the weight of a moose, I'm assuming they would have packed the snow where I would have felt it, so I don't think that was a moose. I think that was a rabbit. I saw a bright white rabbit out here today. Has its winter coat, and they'll turn brown again in the spring, so they can blend in nicely. So down here, you can actually see where I punched my foot through the ice. That's what that hole is down there. But I'm gonna go down there one more time. Hopefully not do it again. And here we also got some more animal tracks. That looks like a coyote or a fox to me, those ones though. Okay, so this is where I went down earlier. Just like earlier, I'm probably gonna slide a little bit right here. Yep, sliding. Just let it happen. And now we'll go down here, down onto the ice. which I could fall through, so gotta be careful. Tread very lightly. Look, it's so cold out, it already froze across the top, and that was only an hour ago. Okay, look at this. That's a massive beaver dam. That is huge. It's big. So, we gotta hang up some blue ribbons so the logging company knows about that, because this pipe is that big for a reason. Spring thaw happens and that dam is still there blocking the majority of the pipe. It could cause the road to wash out. It's blocking the majority of the pipe, so what that means is when it has to flood, it's going to go over the road, or because it's such a small hole, a debris flow could block that with more garbage and have it go over the road. It's been a while since this has gone underwater, but it used to trickle over the top all the time. The beavers have been a menace in this area for years, but they were relocated, and this is the first time in maybe 3 years, because I know just 2 years ago they were an issue. They had to get rid of them. We're coming back up here to the road. I'm trying not to slip. It's very steep. Very steep. I might have to drag myself up here with my hands. Yep, put my hand in the snow. Alright. Alright. Yep, I just wanted to show down there for a moment. There's no wind, so some people are going to notice, look, I'm just in a thin hoodie. If there's no wind, the cold doesn't bother me. It could be negative 40 out, and I wouldn't care. I could still manage for quite a while dressed like this. But when it's cold, just the slightest breeze, yeah, I need a super massive jacket, and I don't even want to be outside. Back inside. This morning, waking up out here, it was about negative 26 out, and that was one of the coldest starts I've ever done in this vehicle. I think it actually was the coldest I've ever started this vehicle. This truck doesn't start as good as my old car did, and it started with no problem, but for like 5 seconds straight, you could hear this whining noise as if it was metal on metal. And I have that recorded. I showed it to some people, and I posted that on my main channel, that really rough start. And people told me that's not the engine doing it. Don't worry about it. They said it was the power steering pump, which is normal to whine in really cold weather starting. But now we're going to start with no problem now because we're already warm. People are going to disagree with me, but I feel like mud tires are better in the snow than actual snow tires. Because actual snow tires have a whole bunch of small grooves in them. They don't necessarily have really... They're not deep treaded like mud tires. Now that's better for ice, yes. You want a bunch of small grooves so that they can open up. You want soft rubber to really grab onto ice. But I'm not driving on ice right now. This is powdery snow, so the mud tires are actually doing a much better job. And they're all season mud tires, so they're not just summer tires. I don't even know if you can buy that up north. Like, I've been told down in the south you can buy dedicated summer only tires. I don't think that's a thing up here. Never seen it. But these are all season tires. I'm not gonna do what I used to, put on the snow tires, because I don't think they perform as well unless it's ice. And I think even studded tires are minimal help, because I've still slid out of control with studded tires. I don't really feel like it makes too much of a difference. That's my opinion. And the tires I'm using now are testing out to be very, very good. They're the most aggressive Falcon tires I could find. The grooves in them are big enough to almost fit my thumb. And I also found that beneficial too, because most rocks are too small. They don't fit into the tread and get thrown. When you have off-road tires with smaller grooves, it actually tends to pick up a lot more pebbles, and it smashes them against the frame as it releases, and it's like a sandblasting. But I realized my vehicle started rusting a lot less with aggressive tires because it doesn't have as much sand and junk being thrown at it from the wheels. Because I get underneath here every fall, I sand anything that's rusty, spray paint it black to protect it before the winter road salt. My old car, just because it has so many miles on it, it's up to about 370 something thousand miles. Just because it has so much age, I've stopped really rust proofing it because a lot of people tell me that it's not going to rust out before it dies. But that being said, I just do the fast, lazy version of it. I oil undercoated it for the first time. I don't want to do that with my truck here because that makes it more messy to work on when everything's oily and greasy. I don't like that. And I think everything looks really nice when you paint it glossy black. So I'm not going to do oil undercoating on this truck anytime soon. Except maybe spots I can't get to with the paint. Like inside the frame, maybe. But inside the frame is not rusting because the sandblasting I'm describing from the tires driving off-road doesn't get in there. So that's not going to be a problem for a while. And once again, I drive a lot, so I don't expect even this truck to make it where it would become rusted before it broke. This truck's, what are we up to right now on the miles? 63,449. Only 63,000. For some reason, I thought it was 70,000 already. I told someone that the other day. It was 70,000. Oops. But yeah. I still have my old car because it doesn't make sense for me to get rid of it since it's not really worth much at that high mileage, and it's more useful to me as a go-to-town car. It keeps mileage off the truck, and it's more fuel efficient. Like this truck right now, it averages about 18 mpg. When I first got it, it was getting about 21, but that's because I was very conservative on the gas pedal. These days I drive a little bit faster. I feel like it's because I'm more used to the vehicle, and just like right now, it works really good in four-wheel drive. But four-wheel drive in the snow, I'm actually getting 13.6. A lot worse when you're making all the wheels spin.